All right, we're live. We're doing this narwhal style, which means no crazy intro. Although I do have a video. Maybe we can watch it right now. Let's see if this works. Hey, and let me know, chat, if that played smooth on your end. I think it did because I have it uploaded into StreamYard. But so I'm joined by my co-creator Jared. How's it going, Jared?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
We got a Sesame Street aesthetic going on. You're like the puppet, PNG puppet, and I'm real. We were looking behind the scenes for a PNG puppet for me, but we don't. I'm a beaver, and you're like a fox in our making of, or like our about the author art that you did. And so I'm a narwhal with creative block. I'm a little vampire guy just on my YouTube channel if I'm playing video games. But I'm a beaver, but we don't have the beaver PNG, so we might make that. We might try and do that tonight, and then we can both be puppets. But I don't know. Uh, so about that trailer, that's like we are working on kind of have worked on multiple animation projects over the years, and we might work on one going forward. It's kind of been put on hiatus, but that's one of the ways that me and Jared collaborate is like animation. So we got to put that's kind of how we met too. It was in Iowa. You went to animation school, didn't you?
Well, I mean, I went to I mean, it was a public university that had like it had an art program, and like even within the studio art program, it had a like it had animation as an elective, and it was like it was a it was like really early as an elective. So I mean, it wasn't like a full on uh discipline there, but I took a little bit of that in addition to like my other studio art classes.
What was your so it was kind of like an art degree and then just some animation focus?
Right. So originally I was going for a drawing BFA, and then like kind of near the end, like I switched into the intermediate department.
Intermediate, and that's like is that a little bit of animation too, or is that like some editing and stuff?
I would classify intermediate as a discipline that kind of goes beyond like what was already available as for things like it goes like it's like like there's painting, drawing, sculpture, like other 3D arts, metal arts, all of that. And intermediate was just it was a discipline that that didn't quite fit in with the already established ones they had. And then a lot of students who were in intermediate, they would do a lot of like durational performance kind of stuff, or they would do more video stuff. Like basically, it's like more like a lot more weird, like out there stuff. And
Yeah.
I think that program started. Sorry, I think that program started in like the 1960s, and like the the university I went to was like one of the first programs to have that kind of thing going on.
Nice. Yeah, because one of the things for that trailer we just watched, it has really cool editing, and you edited it, and you did that in Adobe Premiere, right? Is that correct?
Right, I did because I did some post-production stuff in After Effects, and then like the actual video editing I had done in Premiere.
Yeah. So if anyone's curious about that, a lot of that uh cool zing and razz is from Jared's editing skills. And yeah, just throwing in the shots. Part one had a kind of a fun animated trailer too. and people can go back on my channel and watch that one. We might check it out some other time, but between the two of them. By the way, in the chat we got Arvid. How's it going, man? From Crowfire Studios. Band of the Crow, obviously a great the book of 2025. And Baz 1500, how's it going, man? 5 people watching the chat. Thanks for being here, everyone. Tonight we're streaming. We'll be streaming like 2 hours or so, and we're just kind of chilling and catching up. I want people to get a chance to meet Jared. I want to talk about Hotel Story. We can kind of pitch it. Yeah, and kind of like give people the opportunity to ask any questions that they want to ask. But we'll definitely be talking about it. The process, talking about the process. It's been because one thing, it's been like 4 or 5 years, depending on how back we want to go. What's your memory of like the origin of Hotel Story?
Let's see. I think there's like a little bit even before we started yeah, there's like a little bit of time before we even started working on the script where we were kind of figuring out like what we wanted to work on like as a collaborative thing because we had done the we had done the we had done the Kafka Sprite comic and that was kind of it wasn't quite to the quality that either of us really wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
kind of thought it was cool,
I
but
had done a
yeah, it wasn't gonna like make its money back or anything like that. You could just tell it was
right,
too like masturbatory for me, or for because I was kind of the one hiring you. It's like, we'll make a
right.
Kafka Sprite comic. How niche can you get? But
And then I think because and around that time too, I had also done I had done a test page for one of your scripts, and so we were kind of like throwing some feelers out for what we might want to work on, and like one of the scripts that you had mentioned but to me before was the hotel script, and that was something that piqued my interest, and I had because there's a few suggestions you had made to me, um, like via email about, do you want to work on this or this? And I said, I kind of like that hotel one, so maybe we can work on that. And that's kind of how it started.
yeah, I remember it kind of that way too. Jim Alaska, thanks for back in. And Arvid says too masturbatory. I kind of feel like masturbatory can totally be a good thing for writing and stuff. If you picture just like an autistic person totally just doing what they want, not listening to any like audience or at all, like that's kind of awesome. Um, but yeah, that was like if the extreme was like our Pixel Kafka, and that's just an adaptation, even kind of straight up, so it wasn't like super creative. But yeah, we got this any kind of like creative juices going that we wanted with Hotel Story. Um, yeah. So what we were the pitch, like we started writing it. It was like, yeah, like 5 years ago. I don't know. Yeah. Well, so real quick, I'll tell a little oral history of like meeting you. This might have been mentioned before on various live streams, but I moved to Iowa and I had a friend, Lou Dorge, who's like a filmmaker. And I was helping him. He was kind of a mentor. He's a little older than me. And I learned a lot of screenwriting stuff from him. And I was helping him with the movie. And we were kind of just like hanging out. He lived in Iowa. So I just kind of moved there to keep working with him. And he lived with his sister, and I lived kind of close to them. I just lived with one of his random friends who needed a roommate. And so I had just a regular roommate scenario in Iowa City. I didn't have a car, so I'd walk everywhere. But Iowa City's kind of small. I mean, it's like a big city, but you can kind of walk everywhere. That's a little bit what you do, right? Because this is part of the story is you live there. Um, so that's what I met
Yeah,
you.
yeah, like a lot of places in Iowa City are just like really close together, like really clustered together, like around the campus.
Yeah, and you can kind of walk like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden you're in like cornfields. And
Yeah,
the Field of Dreams cornfield from the movie is like somewhere nearby. Isn't that true? You know that?
I I mean I don't know exactly where it's located. So I couldn't really tell you.
You know what? I have a funny memory. I did it when I forget. I don't know how old I was. Me and my brother, so my family, but we're like 5, 6, whatever. Did a cross country road trip with my dad and mom for a family reunion thing. And I remember my dad. My memory of him during that road trip was that he was really annoyed or like had a temper the entire time. That's not how I had known him my entire adult life or even when I was in high school. He was always the coolest guy. But yeah, for a little bit of years while we were young, he just seemed like he was so annoyed. And I remember these are just my memories too. I don't know, but I remember he, loved baseball. He loved that movie, so he wanted to see the Field of Dreams. And I think he wanted to play catch with me and my brother on the Field of Dreams. So we went to do that and we kept accidentally throwing it over his head and then he would just be like, "Go get the ball." So we have to run past him and get the ball and we couldn't like throw it good enough to for him to catch it, so we never played catch. He wasn't getting his like dream as he pictured in his head and he was getting super annoyed. That just came to the forefront from my subconscious. I wonder if I have any unprocessed things going on because of that.
Right, repressed memories and trauma and all that.
Yeah, from just not being able to play catch with your dad, like just not being able to hit his mitt. uh 8 people now popping in. Thanks everyone for being here. Jim Alaska, Arvid. Say hi from the chat, everyone. So I moved to Iowa. One of the things so it was kind of just me and I didn't hang out with Lou all the time. Like we just hang out once in a while. So I was kind of like I got a part-time job. I was making friends through work. I was then I was walking to campus like at least once a week for some clubs. At this time too, I was like about college age. I don't know, I was like 27 or something, 26. And so this is like 10 years ago or a little more even. And I'm walking to campus. There was like an anime club, and I went to that. So I was kind of part of anime club. And then there was, I think it was a comic club or an anime. It was a game making club, wasn't it? Is that
Right, yeah. Well, it was so it billed itself as a multimedia kind of club, like it like, it had a heavy focus on game development, but yeah, like it included game development, animation, comics.
Yeah, because it kind of went out into all that, but met a lot of cool people there, and there was cool projects going on. But then one of the standout things from that too was it was you through that club you hosted like a 3-day comic jam. I think it was 3 days. Uh,
The one I remember hosting was it was a variation of the 24-hour comic day idea, where instead of 24 hours, it was like a 12-hour thing, where it's like we would do a 12-page comic in a span of 12 hours. That way, it wasn't like you like by the end of it, you weren't like completely completely exhausted, um,
okay, yeah, yeah,
from a
because
whole
there was a
24-hour
longer one,
thing.
and that one didn't work as well. I remember I was like sleeping for a lot of it, and
Right, right.
and I don't know if I was as productive. I don't remember what ones I did, but I remember the one you did for the one you hosted was the best one of like the group. And yeah, so you were kind of on my radar just from that point. And I remember your art style kind of, I always just describe it as like kind of Samurai Jack y. And then you've mentioned that there's influences that go past that. It's like UPA 1950s style animation. Is that what you call it?
Right. Yeah. Like on the animation side of my influences, like there's a lot of, especially at around that time, like there was a lot of UPA influence, a lot of like, yeah, like a lot of like Eastern European, Soviet bloc kind of animation.
Yeah, and that's like Gendy is also influenced by that. So it's like
Yeah.
that kind of look. People can kind of picture it in their head. And Hotel Story kind of has that even if you guys um check out Hotel Story obviously. And yeah, so then I eventually moved away from Iowa City, but we kind of stayed in touch. And it was like sort of false starts. We were trying to collab here and there, every year or two until something did kind of stick and it was Hotel Story. And that kind of became the big project. Um, and it was this like, I don't know, I feel like this is an interesting point of the story is that it actually was kind of a huge undertaking. And that's why we're both like got a little bit of dopamine because we kind of finished it. I mean, it's done. So when this campaign fulfills, we're going to fulfill part 2 that completes the story. Um, you know, you drew it. It's 240 pages. That's a lot of work. So
Hmm.
that's cool. Over the course of working on it, you started working on other projects though. So I feel like, because like now you're like pretty quite experienced, partly because of this, but you have some other stuff you're working on. So actually, we can mention that really quick. One is the Obel, um, and that is for sale. You can buy that on this campaign, but that's Jared's solo project, 48-page horror comic. Do you want to talk about that one at all, just for a second?
Yeah, yeah. So that was around 2023 because there's an event that I try and table at. You know, if I'm able to get in like around the like if I'm able to get registered in time, you know, like because sometimes that fills up before I get a chance to. But it's a it's a comic zine event like that's local to the area. And I went to the event the year before, and I wound up doing about two different comics for that first event, like within the span of about a month. So uh I wanted to do another for every time I table edit, I want to try and have at least one new comic for it, just so that I have, you know, that I'm offering something new that I can, you know, that you know, just have something to talk about, you know, if someone asks about it. But that, yeah, like 2023, I got a table there. uh I had one idea I was going to do for that was an adaptation of it was a it was a short story that in my mind I thought it was original, like, anyway, I'm derailing too much, but like there was one idea I had that kind of didn't take off. So uh, I had another idea that was on the back of my head that hadn't really been developed at all. But you know, with the event coming up in about a month or so, you know, the deadline started weighing down on, well, not weighing down on me. It just like made itself more known to me. So like I was able, like, the, I was able to focus more. So like within about a month, I was able to make a 48-page comic about uh you know yeah, because like the comic itself is like it's like it takes like it takes some aspects of Greek mythology, of the of the ferryman on the river Styx, like how, you know, there's a burial ritual where put an obol on, which is like a really low value coin that you would put on someone's eyeballs, like when they're, you know, when they're being buried, to take with them to the afterlife to pay the toll to get across the river Styx. So it took that aspect of of Greek mythology and applied it to sort of uh, Gothic horror story taking place on a steamboat.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember the idea that you did the whole thing in a month. That was awesome. And it's kind of interesting too, like it has really great writing and you're a good writer. So this is part of our collaborations. Jared's a co-writer on this. Um and full artist. And but you write for that, you kind of like storyboarded it without a script. Is that true?
Yeah, because originally I tried to start off with a script, and I think I got a couple pages in, until I just decided that storyboarding, like, yeah, just storyboarding it before, like, really any di- without any extensive dialogue or anything would have was the was the more efficient option for me.
And this, when we say storyboarding, is this like thumbnailing, like identical or
Right,
slightly different, or okay.
right.
Okay, so yeah, so you're thumbnailing it. You aren't writing the dialogue. So you're kind of doing Marvel style writing with yourself a little bit. So you come back later and then you write the dialogue. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like an interesting process that I also, I mean, I don't do that. I think it's like fascinating. But that segues slightly. I want to talk a little bit about our process for Hotel Story. Is I'm trying to think if it was that different between 1 and 2. There's some kind of funny differences between 1 and 2. Like I think 1 has slightly higher average panel per page. We've talked about this, but people can check if they read them both, and I don't think it'll be like noticeable. But if I point it out, then you might be like, oh yeah, that's kind of true. Like if it's average like 6 or 7 on book 1, then it's average 5 or 6 on book 2, which isn't that much, I guess. But we did a lot of thumbnailing, and then there was kind of like rewrites as we were going. So I'm trying to think, because I think if I say through all this, I hope that this kind of impresses people of kind of what Jared pulled off. But so the first thing is, and by the way, this is all in the making of. There's a making of for part 1 and part 2. I do recommend, like, in my head I picture that's like great for like a college kid who wants to like make comics. That was like the target audience, but it's kind of interesting for pretty much anyone. I think it's like all our emails, which there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. There's like actually thousands, I think, because it's over multiple years, and that's how we banged out the whole creative process, really. So it's all documented, kind of like this oral history of the making of the book. But part 2, you emailed me and you're like making some changes to the script. You're like, I think we should do it in this order, cut this. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we were kind of changing the script on the fly. And then you kind of did a full pass of thumbnails from that. Then a lot of that we kind of fine tuned and re-thumbnailed. And then I think it kind of went to final art. And then, this is where I messed up a little bit, because we went to final art and then we made a few changes. So then at that point, it's like wasted work, you know? So we're like, and part 1 had some redrawn pages too. And like, obviously artists don't like to do this, but this is a part of just like the story of Hotel Story, is that there was some iteration as we went, and it lent itself to a fun level of creativity with our collaboration and the writing process. But I think, yeah, so part 2, it was like you do the rewrite, you thumbnail, we fine-tuned that re-thumbnail, then finished art, then a new thumbnail, then finished art, and then we at the very end we added some pages. And this wasn't the whole book, but this was like a couple scenes or whatever got redrawn or whatever. Is that like kind of sound like what we did to you?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so yeah, just that iterative process. I have a little document of like 8 things about Hotel Story that I kind of want people to know about, as like this is a reason to buy it. And one of them is the creative process being so iterative and so much like improv in a way, because we actually did hundreds of video chat meetings where we're like, okay, what should the line be here? And we're just like spitting lines back and forth until one of us laughs. And we got like, yeah, there's stuff that is not in the script at all. And then it's not in the rewrite. It's usually the third thing. Then we would be like, damn, we really dug down to some gold. And some of it we can't spoil because it's too good. So I can't even talk about it. But I don't know. Yeah, so it's like there, even saying that though, it's like it's a double-edged sword. Like you want to be able to get it right the first time, you know. But there's kind of one of the pros is this creative aspect that came from it that's kind of fun. The con obviously is like having to redraw work kind of sucks. And you did one, you did a cartoon where it's like your character, your Fox character here, and he's like, 50 pages of notes. What is this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's funny. But so I don't know if it was actually 50, but yeah, it was
I
a
think it
lot
was
of those
more.
were like, yeah, a lot of those were just like lettering fixes and stuff. But of that initial pass we did, but we did like 3. I think on book 1 and 2 we did like 3 big passes of kind of notes, and then right at the end, that's where it's like it started being like maybe this, maybe this. We're like, no, it's got to be done. Or you were telling me like, let's just let's let's
Right.
like,
I was putting my foot down a little bit.
yeah, yeah, which is good, which is good. But yeah, it was. I feel like the creative process working with you has been great. Uh, one of you're my favorite collaborator, but I was like, are you my only collaborator? I've collaborated with some other people, but just the fact that it's like such a huge project, I still am proud of that aspect of it. And like I guess so for my work, it's like Earthbound is like that. Earthbound is 240 pages and it's done now. But once you get like something in the bag like that, it feels good. You got your body of work. So we got Earthbound, Hotel Story is now done. It's like Earthbound. Like people who like Earthbound will like Hotel Story. And Earthbound was kind of a an indie hit, And Hotel Story for what it is, it feels like it's a good little, what do you call it? A dark horse hit. The first book raised like 18K and had like 320 backers, I think. So we'll see how this one does. We definitely want to meet that or beat it. Hopefully, off to a pretty good start here. Definitely feeling good about almost 3 grand on day one. Do you remember what the first one did on day one?
I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of like this. I don't
Yeah.
actually really remember, but uh, Alex Verity, it's a comic about nothing. I forget what was I pitching? I did a little mini stream last night where I was kind of priming the pump for the launch today, and I was telling people my main pitch was that it's a finished story. And I'm like, here's why you want to read it. One reason, it's done. But that's like, and the only funny thing about that is like, yeah, that does actually separate it from the pack a little bit. Yes. So should we watch the trailer one more time? How do you guys feel? Because we watched it right at the beginning, so we got new people coming in. It's 50 seconds, so I'm gonna play it. Is everyone ready? Are you ready, Jared?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Woo! You know what that reminds me is you did the music for that. So that's people got to understand Jared is a man of many talents. Uh like composer. I was like beyond musician, you're a composer. Um and you have a SoundCloud, right?
I do.
Yeah.
It's very like it hasn't been very active for a while just because like I've been focused on art, for the last 4 or 5 years. So I mean, there's like within the last 4 or 5 years, there've been like 2 or 3 songs that I've uploaded since like I think there's like maybe like 15, 20 songs on there right now. So it's not like a uh comprehensive uh
Yeah.
it's not like a comprehensive thing, but yeah, I have
And
um
so for this trailer, it's kind of influenced by Persona, if people know Persona. Um, and that was part of what you brought to it. And I just know like that we started with, what do you call it? Like uh, a flash page or whatever for inspiration.
right. So like I was taking like because it took a lot of inspiration from the intro video for Persona 3, like the original Persona 3, because there's also Persona 3 Fez, which has its own intro, but it also has that original intro as a second loop. So and then like also Persona 3 Portable does the same thing. But yeah, I like And from my research on that, like the developers who who were working on the game, like they took a lot of influence from like from like 2000s era like Flash animation, Flash like website design, and applied it to like a lot of the UI elements. So like that's kind of because like I didn't like so like I'm trying to go backward to because I don't want to just have it be like soup like I play Persona 3 and I want to make this just like
Yeah,
Persona 3. It's like I wanted to like go like further back to the sources of like different things, and
cool.
that's yeah,
Yeah, so it's not even exactly like, do you like Persona 3? Me too.
right.
Please,
And
please watch.
I heard someone also mention that the music sounded like something from Street Fighter Third Strike.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of like fighting game music for sure. It's like
Right,
that. It's kind of like Japanese a little bit or something, but
right.
um and that's kind of like your influence lately, or that's like on your SoundCloud is like a lot of it's like fighting game style music is how I picture it. But
Yeah, sort yeah. Yeah.
and you have a keyboard. Well, what do you call it? The genre? Because you've mentioned it's like something something key punk or
Uh,
something.
I, I mean,
It's
I'd like
something beat.
it,
It's
it's
beat punk. What did you say? You're an apologist, beat punk apologist or something.
right. So, well, that was just like a joke answer I put for whatever. Like I said I was a breakcore apologist,
Oh yeah, yeah, breakcore. Yeah,
but that like I don't like I would not classify myself as a breakcore artist. Like breakcore is a very specific genre, and like I am not capable of doing what what breakcore artists are able to do. But like
oh, so it's even you're not like looking down on breakcore, you're looking up at it almost.
I mean, if you can like for every Venetian there like breakcore is sort of starting to make a re like a reoccur like not reoccurrence, but like it's some of it is starting to come back, but there's like a lot of people who are like mislabeling breakcore and like putting that label on stuff that like is like it's like is I don't know. This is going into like music genre talk that like I'm not really equipped to talk about at the moment. Because like I'm like I said, like my musical output hasn't been like a ton recently. Like the trailer music and then like a few other things have been like the most recent things I've done.
Yeah,
And like I haven't really been like hip to like a lot of new music recently, but yeah, it's just
you're
like
getting old. You're losing touch. Is that what it is?
right, right. I mean, I am in my mid 30s. I've already surrendered to the fact that uh that I've already let like I've already lost any coolness that I would have already had.
Yeah, we're well at a certain point. It's the fact that you're not cool becomes cool a little bit. I think when you get a little older, because we don't know what those little whippersnapper kids are up to these days, and I don't know.
Right,
You don't want to say
right,
like screw them because they're fine. Whatever Gen Y or whatever, I get them all mixed up.
right.
Yeah, I don't even know what they're into Sydney Sweeney jeans. I saw some Sydney Sweeney jeans in the wild today. I was at the coffee shop and I was like looking at the floor and there were two Gen Y girls in front of me and one of them was wearing like they're like bell bottoms and I'm like, "All right, if I look up like I'm looking at the ankles, they're super saggy. If I look up at the butt and they're super tight, that means they're Sydney Sweeney jeans." So I tracked up to stare at her butt and the jeans were tight. The jeans were tight. I was like, "Oh, it's Sydney Sweeney jeans." I wanted to say to her like, "Hey, are those Sydney Sweeney jeans?" But I didn't have the balls. So I just like I whistled and like looked up at the ceiling or whatever to draw attention away from myself.
Right.
Got my coffee and ran out of there. But yeah, they're out there. I thought the Sydney Sweeney jeans would get bought like by people who buy like bath water for streamers. So just men like want the Sydney Sweeney jeans for some reason and like flip it, like just flippers.
Right.
And but apparently women do wear the Sydney Sweeney jeans, so that's good.
I mean,
Alex, you're being just happen to say nice jeans.
right. Like I have a friend who works for like a clothing like a clothing like a fashion brand. And she said that like, and this was back in like 20, like this kind of like post like early like kind of in the middle of the pandemic, like after the pandemic, like they were like she said that like that looser more comfortable clothing like looser clothing as like not like not like loose as in like not like barely hanging on, but just like roomier clothing was starting to come back, because like people, like they're not going outside, under the circumstances, so like they're just like wearing whatever is the most comfortable at the time. So like they
Yeah,
were
they need room to do stuff in the space of the jeans, like build a campfire and cook a little tuna. I don't know what I'm
right,
saying.
right,
um, Going camping, you know what I'm saying? Pitching
yeah.
tents. I don't know, but yeah, there's plenty of room for that. Paula says Sydney Sweeney makes my jeans tight. Yeah, lots of jeans puns. I don't know. Uh, they're coming back. Jeans puns. Like, what is the? Because isn't the talk of jeans? Is that why they're saying it's fascist? Is because talk of jeans is actually like the Nazi thing. What do they call it?
Eugenics.
Yeah, it's eugenics. Is that why they were triggered? I didn't
I
put that
think
together till just now.
I mean, I really haven't been paying that much attention to it, but like the one thing that I looked up on it was like something along those lines.
Oh, that feels like it's reaching. I didn't even put that together until I just thought it was a cute pun. The other thing I saw that kind of annoyed me was it was a Sam Hyde thing, who I do watch a fair amount these days a little bit. But he watched the Sydney Sweeney thing and he's like, "Who's that? I don't know who she is." I'm like, "Bitch, you know who she is." That's me watching it. And then they're talking and he's like, "She's not hot. Why is she famous?" I'm like, "Bitch, she is hot. Shut the fuck up." But I don't know. I guess everyone has their own taste, but I don't know. That I feel like that's weird that the hipster reaction against Sydney Sweeney. Although some people say she's a dude, and I'm like, okay, that I almost could believe more than that she's a ugly chick or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm nervous about that myself. I'm nervous she might be a dude because you just don't even know how the frickin' satanic cult works that runs Hollywood. Like, all the chicks might be dudes. We don't know. We have no way of we have no way of figuring this out. Not through the computer screens. John's Longbox, how's it going? What do you think about that, Jared? Do you think all chicks are dudes in Hollywood?
Uh,
Do you tolerate my
there's a
my conspiracy theories?
I was gonna say I was gonna draw a parallel to like to to the kind of to like the old internet knowledge of like there are no girls on the internet. Like I just
Oh
like apply
yeah,
that to Hollywood.
I know. Yeah, that is funny. Everyone's getting catfished constantly. That's like it rings true. Even if it's not true, it just kind of feels like it could be. That would be a good Black Mirror or Twilight Zone thing. I wonder if there's like a double catfish somehow, how that would work. Your catfisher gets catfished to themselves, like a circular catfish. I don't know. Two people catfish themselves at the same time. Two catfish people meet. That'd be kind of funny. Um,
I
yes.
mean that's like
Okay, so or
they
what
made
were you
a
saying?
song about they made us. Oh, I was gonna say they made a song about that called Escape, or the Pina Colada song, but that's not quite the same thing. That's like a different thing.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
don't.
That sounds cool though. I gotta check that out. Alex Bear be posting links in the chat. Thanks. Carnal is live too. Reenie's Fiendish is live. The other Phil's is live next week, but it won't be crowdfunded, and that's the Whittler, the Western that he's writing. I think it's not actually called the Whittler, but by the way, we got 18 people watching, everyone. So far we have 38 backers. We're at 2,836. Um it would be sweet to get to 3,000 in the next little bit. I don't know if that's too much to ask. And it was sweet to get to 40. So that means we're almost at the part of the stream. This stream's sort of like a telethon. We're just kind of chatting, hanging out or whatever. And we're going to go over the book and everything. But part of it is shaming the chat to back it if you haven't. So if you haven't backed it, then consider it and consider getting these numbers up because these are rookie numbers right now. We got to get to 40. 40 is the vet numbers. And oh, look at that. As I was talking, it went up and we got a backer. So thanks, whoever that was. Thank you so much. So I found out, Jared, too, that Kickstarter, their email sign up is just to get notified when it launches, and there's no way for me to actually email them, so that they don't like give me their emails. It's not actually an email sign up. So
Okay.
there was no way for me to give them the secret link. So I just gave it to everyone. So everyone gets
Okay.
the sticker. And I think that's fine. I think people will be happy with that. So there's already 2 bonuses. Everyone gets the sticker. Everyone gets the mini comic. And then first 100 backers get the creative block card. And then there will be some stretch goals, and we'll see like what kind of numbers, 15,000 or 20,000. There'll be like some stretch goals. But one of them is going to be an extra mini comic. So you could get 2 mini comics with this campaign, which would be a lot of fun. They kind of flesh out the story. The art of a mini comic is like a little bit of a fine art to it because it's kind of like a deleted scene. Like you don't want it to be necessary to the story, but it still has to be kind of fun. So finding that balance of whether it should be a mini comic or not. And we've got a little system of like these kind of ancillary world building things that we can include that are canon, but they just aren't in the main story. And yeah, so those and they're all saved. There might be a collected edition of the mini comics at some point, or they'll be included in the hardcover release or something like that. Um, but yeah, so there's as far as potential stretch goals and just the reaction because we got to wait to see to fulfill part 2, and we'll see how people feel about it because I'm hoping and I kind of anticipate like a lot of people are going to love it, and that kind of crowdfunding kind of works in reverse. So it's like I wish people could read it and say they love it now, and that would help it sell. But you kind of got to sell it being just like trust me, bro, trust me, bro, trust me, bro, and then there'll be like this reaction. Depending on how positive that is, there could be a second offering, uh, and next year and or like reaching out to publishers or something. So we'll see about all this kind of stuff. But the overall reaction, we might do a sequel. But if we did that, it's still even that would be like in a year or 2 we'd tackle the sequel, and it might not be as huge. It might just be like 80 pages or 100 pages or whatever. But we do have an idea for a sequel that's a lot of fun. The extra mini comic is a lot of fun. Um, it's funny. It's a lot of it's like spoilers, so I can't say what it is, but people will like it. Zaid, what's up? Sim, what's up? Angela, will the mini comic have a banana? So I don't know what awards. What's the video game thing? Achievements. So I have this thing, Jared, where I talk about achievements in comics, and you could go achievement hunting. And so
Hmm.
one of my achievements is in Grand Prix. I have the biggest banana in comics ever, even though that's sort of not true because people were saying that there's like some Silver Age Superman comic that has a giant banana, but I still think mine might be bigger than that one. I don't know. That one's pretty big though, but so at least second biggest banana. But as far as Hotel Story, like I don't know, like explosions, monkeys, head exploding, like I don't think we have any straight up head explodings. But that would be an achievement if you could put an exploding head in your comic.
Yeah.
Um I don't know. Can you think of any off the top of your head that we have that it's like separates us? I don't know.
Um.
We have tentacles, but that's not super special.
Right. Oh, that's a good question. I would have to think about that.
Yeah, it's like it would be
Like,
kind of in that achievement realm. Like I don't know, like Could be anything. What we have, you know, so I Dang is doing
Oh, you know what? We
well,
have. I think we might have our like we had them. Uh, I can't speak. Uh, you know how like a lot of the characters in the book have green eyes. Like that could be our Chivo thing. Would be like the our book. Like our book is the one with the most green-eyed characters.
yeah. And you know, there's like a super sub canon thing for that I was thinking is like Salome cast this spell and there's a little bit of this fate element of who's in the hotel at that point when the spell gets caught. And there's this a little bit of this question of like, yeah, the hotel being this focal point of fate. And then also having it drawn green-eyed people together is like almost like a side effect of the magic, or the pre-magic or whatever. So we can like make the lore legit, dude, even though we're kind of just spitballing. Um, but so Dang does a panel, or he's doing for like a little event for the release of Hotel Story, and it's called Hotel Story Out of Context, and it's just one panel out of context for the next 60 days while this is live. And you know he's the account who did like 100 Days of Narwhal or whatever, which was awesome. If he was doing that during Vatican City, um, but there's one that it makes me think of panels that I'm like, oh, this would work. Oh, this would work. Oh, this is funny, like out of context. But there's one where Estelle is yelling at Gary, and she's like, "Gary, your hands are too clammy," as she's like trying to pull him off a ledge or whatever. I was like, yes, that. I wonder if that can be an achievement, just to use the word clammy in a comic. Then you win that award. For use of the word clammy goes to Hotel Story. You know about that? So it's autobiographical because I have clammy hands. My hands are clammy as fuck. I'm super self conscious about it. I can't shake anyone's hands. I have to comment. I have to be like, sorry about my clammy hands after I shake anyone's hand.
So what is a like what is a clammy hand exactly? Is it just like a cold hand or is it like
It's wet.
wet? Okay.
Yeah, it's like sweaty. It's like if your palms are always sweating. It's like the Eminem song. Palms are sweaty, clammy hands. Mama said, back of the bag, eating spaghetti. But yeah, the clammies. You get the clammies. And then the other thing we put in that was autobiographical is I've been into schwitzing, and we have a line where Hai says like, because they're looking at the sauna or they're looking at like the pool, and he's like, "Too bad we don't have time for a good schwitz." And Ingrid is like, "The sauna's down for maintenance." That's what I hope people appreciate these lines. Like, I guess that's like it's not like it's because I'm like, this dialogue is genius. And then people are like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. Like, whatever. What's so special about talking about a schwitz? I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I got too excited about my schwitz line. They say kill your darlings, but I will never kill the schwitz. But yeah, that kind of came from some of our improv. There's a lot of good little one-liners, I don't know, that are like they tickle me, and I think the audience, like a reader, they'll feel it, but it's not like the reader's going to be like, dude, that one time when you had that one guy say he wishes there was time for a good schwitz. Dude, that was so awesome when he said that. There isn't going to be any reactions like that. I think people just be like lots of award-winning lines in this book if you're going for achievement hunting to include the words clammy and schwitz. So nice job. I'd be like, thank you. Alex Garby, a Schwitz banana. First comic to use the word Schwitz. Yeah. Are we really? We're the first. What is it called if you're not Jewish? You're called
Goyim
or a Gentile or
or
both? Or
Gentile. Yeah.
yeah. We're the first Gentile comic to use the word Schwitz. That's literally what we are. So that should be on the cover. On the back cover. And then what if it's the person who says it is like a really Jewish name? That'd be kind of funny. I don't
I was gonna say
know.
there might be a Harvey Kurtzman comic that uses the word Schwitz at least once or twice.
Yeah, but then he's Jewish, I'm pretty sure. But
Right.
because
Oh,
we're
right.
Gentiles.
You're saying right. The Gentiles using it.
Yeah. So the quote could be from Harvey Kurtzman if we could get him to read it.
I think that'd be very difficult.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's dead, isn't he? He's behind me, isn't he? The ghost of Harvey Kurtzman. Baz says, "Be right, B got a schwitz." I was volunteering at the local Y like last week, I think, and for some reason, there's a guy there who's like 45-year-old ex-military, super jacked, guy who does Ironman competitions or whatever, where they do all three triathlon stuff. And he said that sauna is almost as good as a good workout for training your body's red blood cells to carry oxygen. And I was like, "It's the schwitz. It's the schwitz, isn't it?" And he's like, what are you talking about?" But so don't go using schwitz just all the time, everyone. Don't just go throwing it around amongst the Gentiles unless you give it the intro it deserves. You know what I'm saying? I think uh if I want to be honorary Chinese Jew if I could. If I could somehow be both those things.
I,
Because they both run the world. I don't know. That's the real conflict of the world right now is China versus Israel. People don't even know it. Not to get political on you guys, but no, I think China they released that like new AI, but I think that ended up being a hoax. But supposedly, I don't even know if that's true though. It might have been a hoax claiming that it was a hoax. But their AI is supposedly great. I'm like, oh shit, if their AI is good, that's bad news. I better start saying I'm honorary Chinese. And I also love schwitzing. So if I could also be honorary Jew, that would be great. Thank you very much. Is it possible to combine them both? The world can start healing. What do you think about that, Jared?
I I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. Do you support? I think it's not like it's that far fetched. Baz says you still play b-ball. I do. I've been shooting around a little bit. I don't really have any stories, but so I started talking about b-ball on Creative Block, and I had no idea that basketball had so many like sexual double entendres. If you just use regular basketball, like what, like draining, yeah, like draining hoops or what, draining buckets and I don't know, smashing. I don't know if smash is a basketball word, but yeah, biking was like that too. Pumping all the time, draining, smashing, draining balls. Oh yeah, that's what it was. If you're draining balls, because I was draining balls. I was draining threes, draining three balls. Arvid says it was a hoax. They were stealing from ChatGPT. Yeah, well, that's good because I was a little worried about that. I do get worried about the end of the world here and there. MMA is the goat when it comes to innuendo. Yeah, even MMA or like even wrestling, it's like you always got to worry a little bit about, yeah, like what, like people could snap a photo of some move and you're like, that doesn't look like wrestling. That looks like someone's getting boinked. I saw a video of it was sumo wrestling and one guy had a boner. I was like, I would not wrestle a guy with a boner. I think I'd be a little uncomfortable about that. But I think it's on the highest levels of competition, it's a way to like psych out your enemy.
Right? I was about to say it sounds like an intimidation tactic.
Yeah, I think it would work. It would totally work. I think the guy with the boner killed the other guy too, just destroyed him. So they just got to bring that to the West. If you want to be a good wrestler, just get a boner.
Wait, wait, did you say this was from like a specific country or?
Yeah, it was sumo wrestling.
Oh, sumo wrestling. Okay.
So I think that's Japan, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
How
Yep.
Japan, they're so skinny. How do they even get fat? How do they bulk? Do they eat a lot of fish or drink a lot of sake? I don't know. Have you ever drinking sake, Jared?
Yeah, I have.
It it's cool. Have you ever drinking soju? I believe it's called. Have you heard of that? The Korean one.
No, I haven't.
That one's like more watered down. It's more like wine or beer or something. But that's a okay Asian alcoholic beverage. Um, yeah, I'm catching up with the chat here a little bit. The wrestling episode of South Park covered most of that. I'm sure anyone who yeah thinks about those things, you have these like worries that come up pretty quickly. If you had to list, if wrestlers had to list their top 5 fears, and they don't list that your enemy has a boner, then they're lying. You gotta say, hey, you gotta add another thing to your list. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. Our comic does not have wrestlers with boners, so we can't get that achievement. Maybe next time.
Yeah, Pear talked me out of it.
Yeah, we do have a dog. We added a dog kind of towards the end to add stakes a little bit, like for the yeah. I don't want to get into it because of spoilers, but there's a dog in it that's like just in 3 panels, and he's kind of cute. I think dogs are like cheating in stories because immediately people feel for him or whatever. They don't even need like a setup.
Yeah, that's why they're so popular in video games because and like they have that like there's those like bot accounts that are all can you pet the dog in this game or whatever and
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
so it
And
gives you
also it's like it's a meme to like kill dogs in Wolfenstein. Like that part of everyone's childhood that they kind of don't like. Um and even Resident Evil, you got to kill dogs. I'm like, I don't want to kill these dogs. Um have you seen the Band of the Crow trailer, Alex Beerby asked?
yeah, I saw it. It
Yeah,
was
it's
good.
sweet.
It
I
was
think
good.
I showed it to you for inspiration when we were thinking of our trailer. We were just looking at some good ones. Banana wrestlers. Um, yeah, so that's one achievement we get is the dog. Let me see. Maybe we can scroll down a little bit. So, by the way, everyone, we're one backer from 40. Then we're close. 128 from 3,000. So could be one backer back the highest tier. We'll show you guys. So we'll go over the tiers. We'll talk about the book a little bit. Um, this is also for people if anyone's catching this after the fact when it's not live. Let us know if you have any questions now if you're watching, but this would be a good one to like clip is like sort of like the actual pitch. But yeah, Hotel Story 2 at Hotel Constantinople, the witch Salome has cast a spell over the hotel, but an ensemble cast of characters elude her and must now plan an escape. Meanwhile, a celestial one-man army seeks to take Salome down before it's too late. And that is part 2. Kind of a simple story, which helps it. But when I say simple, like this is the kind of stories I like a lot of times. Is story's simple, but there's a lot of characters and a lot of stuff happens. So it's kind of a good balance. That's sometimes I think of that as like I think of it as quote unquote cinematic. It is a little bit like good movies can be like that, where the weight that the story carries, it can't carry as if it was a crazy convoluted plot necessarily because there's not enough screen time for that. But you can have a simple plot, but you can still have like a bunch of a bunch packet with a bunch of stuff. That's this kind of came up as you anyone who's done any screenwriting. If you're like, all right, I'm gonna write a movie now, and you're like, okay, what happens in the movie? And you're like, this, and this, and you write it, and this is, and you're like, sweet, that was 30 pages. You're like, damn, a lot of stuff can happen in movies. Like, it can almost be like everything your heart desires, throw it in there, and you just have to have good structure. That's like, kind of learn that as you go, getting hopefully better and better structure, then the script will be better. But And that's what we try to do with Hotel Story, is have good structure, which is kind of just the escalating stakes as you go, just kind of the escalation kind of thing. 15 people, because that's what gives they call it, Mel Gibson calls it the tightening of the screws. Like you could imagine if all of a sudden randomly the screw went loose in the middle of a story, like that'd be weird, you know. But actually, B, I already backed the highest tier, and I added some stuff. He's like the making ofs. Ooh, nice, Alex. Thanks, man. Yes, and so Arvid is in the chat. We quoted him. The mayhem is ruthlessly disciplined. So that's part of the charm, part of the appeal. We'll go over some of the the aspects of like pitching the book that we're both proud of. But this is kind of part of it, is like simple story, but a lot happens. We're cutting between a lot of characters. And yeah, so this, I like how these quotes play off each other. So Kayla says chaos within chaos. She's kind of saying the same thing. Like chaos within chaos in a way means like organized chaos, or what's the word or fractal. Yeah, like fractal chaos, like geometric chaos. And all that kind of sounds like ruthlessly disciplined mayhem. They are the same thing. So it's cool that two people had the same reaction. I think it's a solid like vote of confidence on what we're trying to do. But yeah, I don't know if we went in and we're like, here's our goal. We're gonna make something so ruthlessly disciplined that people will have to comment on that aspect of it. I don't know. Do you remember like goals going in? I think so. I'll go first real fast. Like it was pretty much we wanted to do like a horror movie, but a comic. And the one I told you was Demons 2. That's all I really remember. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you add
I just
anything
can't,
to that?
right. I can't think of any specific goals like right at the start of the book.
And
Um,
that makes me think we kind of evolved some goals as we went, for sure. And actually one of them was the gags, which let me hop over here real fast. So here's the 8 things that are special about the book, because this is a promo stream, so we're allowed to glaze ourselves, but this is also just, it's not like this is like glazing ourselves. We're pointing out 8 things that we like about the book. And Jared can give his own commentary on these as I go over them, but one of them is gags. So I say gags in industry terms because I'm on the inside. I'm an insider. No, just kidding. But industry terms, they aren't jokes. They are just little moments of cleverness in the action, sometimes funny, sometimes poignant or badass. Steven Spielberg movies are packed with gags. So is Hotel Story. Like I'll give you an example. I was kind of laughing the other day because I watched this was like months ago, but I watched Saving Private Ryan, which is an amazing movie. But Steven Spielberg, you know, that's his World War II epic kind of thing. That movie is packed with gags, and the gags are not funny; they are tragic. But they're structured like jokes. So like in the opening scene, there's a guy, and he's by the radio. They're like calling for backup or whatever, and then the guy right next to him, he takes a bullet to the head, but it ricochets off his helmet, and it knocks his helmet off, and he's looking at the bullet hole in his helmet, and his friend goes like, "You lucky bastard!" And then another bullet hits his head while the helmet's off, and it explodes his head in his friend's face as soon as he says that. So it's like dramatic irony. It's like the setup and joke of a punchline, but it's obviously not funny. But I was like, dude, what if this is? It almost is funny. Like Steven Spielberg is a sick fuck. I think he thought he was making a comedy, and he was just like doing gags the entire way through. I'm just kidding, but that's like anyway. Steven Spielberg movies, you can actually think of millions of examples where he has gags. I heard one in an interview. He said it was one he tried to do in 1941, which is this random movie that kind of bombed, but then he used it again in the first Indiana Jones movie, and it actually worked. But it's where a Nazi torturer walks in and has this like device that he starts to unfold, and bad crazy music's playing, and you're like, oh shit, he's making a torture device, and then he connects it, and it becomes a coat hanger, and he hands it to his assistant, and they hang his coat on it. You know what I'm saying? Does that like give you a reaction even as I say it? Do you get like I'm kind of talking to you as the audience, but am I successfully communicating what a gag is, Jared?
yeah, I think so because
Yeah.
I think with like a with like the way you're describing gags is like also kind of like a universal approach to storytelling and like especially like in like the not ancient but like what's the word for like not prehistory but just like our antiquity where
Oh
like
yeah.
people would tell like because people like either writing wasn't like either writing wasn't invented or like there was like a really strong oral tradition, so like people would repeat things, to like to to make remembering like stories easier and all that. So like I think a lot of that kind of goes hand in hand
Yeah.
with like the
The
idea of the
things that
gag.
stand the test of time, they have those like punchlines to them and stuff that makes them more memorable or whatever. And a lot of it is dramatic irony, I guess, which would could be just funny or whatever. And it's fractal too. Like it can be a tiny little moment in a scene, or it could be like a whole story is like that. Um, but a lot of times what we're talking about is pretty tiny, these two steps forward, one step back little moments in the action. And I was gonna say, I bet this I mean, obviously you're good at this because we did this together, so you know you did a ton of this. But it's it's closely related to like storyboarding. I think it's what storyboard artists do a lot of the time. And it's a little bit of what you'd say like a difference between a script writer and a storyboarder. Then this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where like when you did your comic, you you kind of went straight to the storyboarding aspect of it. So kind of that's even leaning more into the gag thing. But you know what kind of movies are like that? Like I know Mad Max Fury Road, that didn't have a script. They only storyboarded it. And that one is so many gags, like just packed in. So in some ways it's like a subgenre where you could say like Fury Road is a gag movie. Like that is the subgenre. And a lot of Spielberg movies could almost fit in that. Evil Dead 2 is like that. Evil Dead 2 is packed with gags. And Evil Dead 2, a lot of them are funny, but a lot of them are like horror. Uh, a lot of old cartoons are like that. Um, a lot of the things that inspired Evil Dead 2, even like Three Stooges or the Marx Brothers, that kind of stuff, the silent films. Who's the guy who did The General? Do you remember that one?
The general, like I think that was Buster Keaton. It was either Buster Keaton or Chaplin. I think it was Buster Keaton.
Yeah, you're right. It's Buster Keaton. That movie's awesome. That movie oddly stands the test of time. If anyone ever feels like randomly watching a good silent movie, you could watch that, and it is pretty sweet. But yeah, it's like like that one gives you the feeling like it might have been storyboarded instead of written. The beginning of Wall-E, I feel is like that. There was a new movie that came out a few years ago that people were saying it's like Buster Keaton. It's called 100 Beavers. Apparently, it's awesome. Have you heard of that one?
You know what? I until about a week ago, I hadn't heard of it, but I was actually watching it. So like I'm involved in like a volunteer project on the side where I'm doing some coloring for like ultimately they're kind of working towards like a big like animated pilot deal. But like there's also like some other things that they're doing on the side some comics and stuff. So I'm helping out with that. Like one of the artists that's working on that, like the main artist for that project, he does live streams and he was doing some live streaming of his storyboarding process for the pilot. He had a few people on that live stream, and one of them mentioned 100 one of them mentioned hundreds of beavers on stream.
Oh yeah.
So like, and he was like the person who brought it up was trying to, because like there's technically like there was the artist and the writer, and then there was like another person who was helping out with the storyboarding. But like so the writer like the person storyboarding brought up hundreds of beavers and tried was trying to kind of sell that movie to the writer while the artist who was like doing like some like a lot of the heavy duty storyboarding like he was just kind of off in his own world. um but he the helper was describing the movie to the writer. He like the helper like brought up the fact that the movie was black and white, and immediately the writer assumed that it was like an art film, and he was like really like the writer like was just kind of like like I don't like art films. I'm not checking this movie out.
Oh, weird. You know
So
what?
like
That's so much is like reversed where black and white. I don't know. Maybe I'm like, is that even true? Like, is that even, I can think of some black and white movies and they aren't art films. They're like badass. The ones I think of or whatever. But
yeah,
like Sin City or something. But that was like from
yeah,
2004 or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that's a
yeah.
little annoying. But yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I like but yeah, I'm gonna have to check that movie out because like it piqued my interest and it looks like it kind of looks like a like you know how like a lot of some movies will try and replicate like the old movie style thing. Like this one does kind of try and do the same thing. I think it does. Like I think from what I saw of it, it seemed to get it pretty close. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's like but yeah, like it's kind of going for that like that silent movie era, like kind of hand cranked camera thing versus like a like black and white art
yeah,
because like you can kind of picture what someone means by like a black and white art film. So I think that like that's part of like what was missing from the descriptor was just like it was kind of doing that hand cranked camera kind of
yeah.
look.
I wonder. Oh, this is like a bad idea. But if we do like a future crowdfund after the hopefully positive reactions get some more sales, and you can offer like collected edition, collected hardcover, library edition, all these things people do sometimes. We could offer a black and white version. I don't call it. Mad Max did that, and they called it chrome. And what's a black instead of white? I forget the type of metal. Uh,
LED.
yeah, like lead and chrome. So it's like Mad Max lead and chrome or something like that. Uh, but I was thinking like, so if we did that, because I had a random train of thought. I was like, you know what? Our movie almost could, some of it you could say it's like influenced by Buster Keaton or like the silent, because of the gag stuff. Um, but obviously like a horror, like Evil Dead 2 is like Evil Dead 2 is influenced by Buster Keaton and those guys are, well, I guess more directly it's Three Stooges, but kind of that line. And or Hotel Story would fit on that. But yeah, making it black and white, a black and white edition. The only thing is we have the mirror world, which turns blue, and it's I wonder if that was like it, and not it indicated to the viewer if that would be a weird thing. You know what I mean?
Right. There's also like I also anticipate there being some like a lot of editing to try and get the actual like black and white looking like good, because like the way that it is now, like the way the values are, like it might not like you couldn't just like desaturate the color and like like send it to print. Like you would have to do some like like color key messing around with like the values and stuff. So like it is possible, but like the fruit has to be worth the squeeze.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll see. So probably not. It definitely. I like getting ideas and then destroying them.
I
But
mean, I'm very like I mean we like that's but it is still something to kind of think about too. Like I don't want to like completely like uh stop it, but
yeah,
I'm like
we
I
could call
yeah,
it the Universal Horror Edition or something like that.
yeah.
If we're talking about weird, I'm not even super into like multiple editions. Like I don't even know, but if we're talking about that, the other one is like maybe manga. But we did talk about this behind the scenes and how manga sized, but that like DC's doing that and stuff. But it is a little weird, like if you mess with the lettering, if you make it bigger, it messes with the art, or else it stays maybe too small. So these issues are kind of big issues to deal with if we try and do anything like that.
Right, right.
Yeah, let me see. So yeah, I think hotel or Kickstarter updates automatically, so we aren't going to kill any angels by reloading it and see if it goes up. But just 39, 2,872, 16 people watching. Everyone, thanks for being here. If you're here hanging out, we're gonna go another 45 minutes. It's a little telethon, so if you haven't backed, consider it. Yeah, get in on the day one, night one backings for Hotel Story. This is part two, which finishes the story. The two added up is 240 pages kind of a full graphic novel, wraps up completely. Um, and yeah, so if I go back here, one of the things is an ensemble story. So lots of characters, kind of even handed. They're all kind of like main characters rather than one main character, which is like I put this as one because it's another one that kind of separates it from the pack a little bit. Like that's a little rarer than you might think. Um, when I was there's a lot of examples in movies, cinema, and even I feel like even novels. There's like a lot of examples, but I feel like there's way less examples in comics, unless maybe if you count like X-Men or something, like a team book, obviously. But if you usually if an X-Men, if you go into and even the movies do this, but if you go into a arc or a story, a little subsection story, within that there's going to be a main character. And in this we keep it like pretty even. But yeah, so the characters we can go over them real fast. So it's High, young washed up tennis player, still the life of the party though, a childhood friend of Connie. We got Connie, firecracker with a dry sense of humor. She's a tennis prodigy with the weight of her own father's expectations draped on her shoulders. We got Ingrid. They just meet that night, but a bartender at the prestigious Hotel Constantinople. She thought she'd seen it all before. If she survives, the first thing she will do is go home and feed her cat. And we got Gary, who's sort of our unofficial favorite character, even though he's the biggest piece of shit ever. Is that fair to say at all or what?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And he's a loser, sad sack, seeking a self-help guru's financial backing to get his life back together. His integrity runs about as empty as his flask. And then we got Chuck, yuppie who only accepts the most luxurious of commodities, always looking out for number one. Everyone else is an inconvenience at best. And we both kind of like Chuck too. It's weird. Yeah, Chuck's like borderline a villain, um, but we kind of like him. I don't know. It's almost like the Cartman thing with South Park. Like somehow the guy you make the biggest dick, it's not like he's likable. I've heard some people say they love to hate him, which is that's a type of character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of like there's some good humor that comes from Chuck, some kind of fun little story developments, even of him and his agency of like him being predictable. Like, of course, he's the most self-centered guy ever, and that's gonna like kind of affect the story. Then there's Estelle, a specialty escort with the bad luck of drawing Chuck as a client, trying to make the best of a bad situation, even with all the bloody chaos around her. Then there's Bruno, mysterious, but not in a suave way. He was up to something sketchy before things went sideways. He's got a bag of tricks and he's saving for a very special occasion. And then Adrian, a liminal angel here to put a stop to Salome's spell. His specialty is possessing dead bodies, that's what here is most likely alluding to. But his blind spot is his bedside manner. Salome, the 700-year-old witch living at the top of the hotel, she made an enormous gamble to keep herself away from demons' clutches at the cost of hundreds of souls. And yeah, like this is the story, the hotel story. Like if people are like, "What is the hotel story?" I must know. I'm like, well, this is what it is. So I can tell you that, but got to read the book to see how it all plays out. Then we got Emir, owner of Hotel Constantinople and retainer to Salome. Very few know the man, his origins, or what end his servitude leads toward. Then we got Hannibal, Adrian's boss, stuck outside from Salome's spell. All he can do now is watch and enjoy a good cigar. And then we got the Duke, the demon from Pandemonium that Salome has made a deal with. For him, the deal is a win-win. Like Hannibal, he watches. Yeah, because if Salome fails, he gets her. If she wins, he gets the souls she promised him. So he's not even like the villain of the story, even though he's obviously a bad guy. We got sample pages.
Yes.
We're going down. Or what were you gonna say?
I was like he's kind of like one of these ambivalent like characters that's like obviously he's not like his intentions aren't good, but like yeah, I don't actually I think like maybe like I'll think through that. I'll think through that like
Yeah. Well,
but you
like
can go for it.
we have this hypothetical sequel, and he would be like one of the main characters in the sequel. And I don't think he would necessarily be like the villain of the sequel. I don't think so. Even on that level, he's just a demon. Like, yeah, like in kind of this world, it's not exactly, it is like hell's bad and heaven's good, but we aren't focusing on that. We're focusing more zoomed in on this one deal that Salome made. It's going to mean these people are going to die. So obviously it's not a good thing. So, she's the bad guy. But people even like her, kind of like Alex. People say, I can fix her. She's an that's an award you can get, or an achievement, if you have an I can fix her character, or I can fix him. If you tap into that X Factor essence, however that
Bru-
happens.
Bruno's the I can fix him character.
Yeah, I mean, he is a little bit. He's funny because he's like, I was looking even at how you draw him. He's like a little annoying because he's so mousy, and then he's badass at the end. And not that hopefully that's not spoilers, but he's a funny character. I think it's a good mix. Like, I actually like him a lot. That mixture makes me laugh. Um, Alex Verby says, Gary is the man. Yes, I like people who like Gary is like the closest a little in a way to Blogart. Like, he's deliberately drawn weird, and Blogart's like funny. Gary's not exactly funny unless it's unintentional. He's just a total piece of shit. But yeah,
And yeah,
Gary.
we have that short story of Gary's origins in the part one, or the making of part one book.
Yeah, that's another like totally supplementary. Doesn't really affect the story, but there's we call it Gary lore. There's lore around Gary. It's like the supplemental to the book one making of. So that's kind of a fun one. But yeah, Dale A loves Ingrid and doesn't like Emir. See, this is one thing I like about an ensemble story, though, and it's a sign that you're doing it right, hopefully. Or, if people have opinions on the characters, and that was one of the things I always asked everyone if I'm getting feedback. I was like, "Who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite?" And if it's in like the one with Emir, there is a fine balance of like, hopefully part two does flesh him out enough to where people don't like it. If the reason they don't like him is just because he's underdeveloped, that would be bad. But if the reason they don't like him is like more because he's like whatever, a powerful villain who's actually fucking shit up for the main characters and got his own little shit. So that was some of the feedbacks. Some of the edits we did was like to flesh him out even more in the sequel. Which he's still like kind of mysterious, but we that was one of the things, one of our iterative processes was getting him going. She just needs the love of a good man. Yeah. Yeah, she's funny because she is, I think she's like, I kind of like her too, but she's a bad guy. She's kind of evil, more or less. She like murders people heartlessly. Uh, so it's like you shouldn't like her, but you still kind of do. And I was like, shit, is that a bad thing? Like, aren't people supposed to hate the bad guy, love the good guy, and that creates the dramatic tension and gives them the emotional response? I was like, well, our story is not. I mean, we actually, that was a little bit of our final adjustments too, is to make sure she's extra bad at the end. But and it does help. It does help. But I kind of like it if it's a little like, if just every character kind of likable in their own way. That's like our story. That's the hotel story. Um, and it's kind of just kind of like throw them in a blender and see what happens. Um, yeah, check out this action. This is good action cartooning from Jared. Lots of fun. Lots of good action in this book. And the action has like gags, like I was saying earlier. Lots of like cleverness to it. Um, there's kind of a subplot about Gary's sunglasses that people might enjoy. That's another. I'd put it in that gag category. And that's the kind of thing that came up in our meetings. Like, we would talk for hours about the the plot of Gary's sunglasses. What do you have any like way you would put that, or how do you remember, without giving spoilers away, I guess, if possible?
Um, I
I'm
mean,
gonna keep
I guess like what
scrolling on
the
Artemis.
right, right. I guess like what like like specifically about about the sunglasses, or like how the sunglasses came up, or just like what like the
Yeah, yeah. Do you have memories about like how that even happened? And then if there's other things like that, because there was, but one of them was the sunglasses, and it
right,
led to like a lot of funny stuff.
right? I don't remember exactly where the sunglasses came from. Like I think
Yeah,
maybe
what
like
was it? It's like you drew him with sunglasses randomly, and then yeah, that well without
or no, I think fuck, what was it?
without giving any
Because
spoilers away, I can say one like sort of gag is like there's a point where Gary agrees to like a deal basically. He's talked into something and the visual cue, it became the visual cue of him accepting is him also accepting and donning the sunglasses. And that was like making us laugh. So then he
I
had sunglasses, which there was, I think there might have been some redrawing because like, ah, shit, we got to draw him with sunglasses now. And do we even want to do this? And a lot of times that's me being like, yes, yes, you're the one doing the work, but yes, let's do it. And you're like,
right,
okay,
because I think the connection was like the fact that that Chuck wears like they're I don't know if they're like if they're just like regular like glasses or like some kind of variation of sunglasses that that Chuck wears. Like I think I had Chuck pull out like a pair of sunglasses to give to Gary to kind of like as as kind of a secret handshake kind of deal or
yeah,
like a
like you're part of my club now or something.
yeah yeah or just
That
like kind of
that's even funnier than what I was kind of thinking. That adds to Chuck's lore that he has a spare pair of sunglasses in his pocket that he just hands to people if he's trying to like talk them into something. Or maybe he's just giving him his sunglasses. I don't know, but yeah, because he's the one who gives Gary the sunglasses. Um, Gary's untapped potential. Yeah, and so we're blocking spoilers here, but we got some cool art. So everyone just surviving and doing their plan, trying to. Salome's got her own plan. She's doing it. Stuff's going on. Stuff's happening. Um, and yeah, and so that's like sample art. Then we got the gallery section. By the way, we'll go like another half hour. I can't remember if I did an update on that, but we'll go about 2 hours this stream. Um, and then maybe a late stream or a little stream tomorrow for sure. I will, and I might if you're free. There'll be other things that you and me will do, Jared, too. Like I might do a few channels, and I'll try and line it up to see if you're free too, uh, and we can.
sure yeah and I'll give like my schedule is pretty consistent of when I'm available, so I'll just like make sure that you're up to date on that.
Yeah. And this is your Tampa's.
Here, yeah.
He's like what?
So this piece is by Hiro Tonfa. He is a comic artist. He's like I think I found his work around 2000 like 2020 2021 when he was still doing Blue Rivers Revolution. Um, and he's also done a few other comics too, like Ponte Historia. Uh, he's doing one now called Nothing New Under the Sun. Like he's a very like he's very much a history buff, and he's done the Nothing New Under the Sun. Like it's very focused on American Revolution era kind of stuff. Like he's like, but that's more of a Four Koma style thing where he's doing like a 4 panel comic. So that's like a gag, like a gag comic like Azumanga Daioh, like in style, but
Oh
with
yeah,
but with the American Revolution. But I've been following his work for a long time, and I had this idea for the book where it's like, what if we had like a little gallery section, of just like some fan art of Hotel Story, you know, try and get like a few other art, like one or two other artists on board. So I reached out to him, and he was, I sent him a copy of book one, and he was into it. So, he was happy he was happy to provide some work for us.
yeah. That's really cool to have him part of the project. And yeah, his stuff is really awesome, and his style is great. But yeah, Good guy. He has a big following too. He's really successful. Seems like does like webcomic styles some and some. Looks like he's doing some video game design now too.
Yeah, he's doing. So it looks like he's doing like he's expanding that idea of like the American Revolution setting and like doing he's doing like an RPG Maker style uh thing. Like I don't know how many people have heard of the game Recettear, but like that game. I assume the game I've only looked a little bit into the game that Hero Tom was working on, but like from what I could tell from it, it's kind of like a I don't know how you would describe it, uh like a like a merchant kind of game, like where like you're setting like you're buying and selling stuff like in that setting. So like it's gonna be kind of uh what is it what do you call people who reenact historical reenactors? I don't know. Like I'm doing a very bad job of explaining the game, but like it's essentially it's essentially a simulation game. Yeah, yeah, it's essentially a
Is it
simulation
like
game
Harvest Moon kind of then, or?
in a way, yeah. Like, but instead of like farming, you are, like you're buying and selling goods and stuff.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And
Do you
that's
ever?
me. And sorry, and that's me assuming that that's what the game is styled after. Like I said, I've seen I've seen like a trailer of it. I've seen some of the work in development. Like it definitely retains a lot of the humor that Hiro Tanfa has put into his comics. So that's kind of like that's the big draw of the game is just like the Hiro Tanfa-ism of it.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. There. This is random, but there's a video game called. Oh crap! T- It's like Tornico, I think. Dungeon. Have you heard of this at all? Does that ring a bell?
Are you talking are you talking about the one about the shopkeeper from like the Dragon
Yeah,
Quest
yeah, it's a
series?
Dragon Quest spinoff, and you play a fat merchant and you just dungeon crawl, but it's a roguelike. But the gameplay is like identical to Diablo, except it's not real time, so it's only turn based. So like if you move a tile, the enemy moves a tile. But other than that, it's like
Mm.
randomly generated dungeons with like items and blah blah blah. And it just seemed so cool. That game seems so fun. I want to play play it for real. I've just watched some let's plays while I was playing, but yeah. King Campbell, what's up, man? But yeah, so real quick so we're on the bonuses now. These are kind of the extras on the campaign. The 8-page mini comic by myself. This is security story about a certain security guard. His fate before the events of the comic play out. Just a little extra lore spinoff. Mini comics. They're 8 pages each. Um, I think I'm gonna assemble them for people this time, even though that takes a little bit of time. But in the past, we've just printed them out and say you assemble them because the idea is you print them out on 8.5 by 11 paper, and then you could just include that in the order, and then the reader gets to assemble it. And I tried that, and that's fun in theory because like, oh yeah, if you assemble it, you have extra ownership, and that's just kind of a fun. You're giving them the gift of assembling it themselves. But I kind of think nobody assembled it when I did that. So now I'm thinking like I'll just assemble it if it takes a couple hours to assemble all the freaking mini comics for people. Um, and then keep in mind too, we might have 2 mini comics, which is quite a bit of fun content. It would be 2 8-page mini comics included, just expanding the lore of Hotel Story. So this one is what the security guard does when shit goes down. Uh, and then the exclusive limited offerings, we only have 30 of these, and we could see how many sold. Is it so far? We have 2 people have picked up the limited edition sketches out of 30, so there's 28 left. Um, and 3 have got the all 5 pack. That's cool. And this is a fun one, or the making of is fun. So 6 people so far have got that. And then another one that's worth pointing out that we'll get to, but it's the preview zine. 6 people have picked up that so far. And these numbers might be higher because you can get them as add-ons too. This is not showing the add-ons. But yeah, so the preview book, this includes the first chapter of Mogal Blues, which is kind of like your big epic post hotel story, which you started a little bit in the middle of hotel story, but that's the main thing you're working on now, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be switching focus to, like uh once Hotel Story stuff has settled down a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've read the first chapter. I love it. It's anthro. It's kind of based. It's like a desert archaeology adventure kind of subgenre. And it's really awesome. And then yeah, we'll include the Percival and some personal development art. Like I did 8 pages of Percival last year, I think. And then some development art. So it's good some Percival like updates, and then Mogal Blues. This is the Percival test art, and here's Mogal Blues page. You can see it's awesome. Yeah, I really like this. Yeah, this kind of like manga, just one tone of gray. Really, that might be 2 tones. There, one's a little darker, but just basically like one gray. What's it? Do you remember what it's called? Like Zipatone, like X-Acto knife cutout
Right. I
sheets.
mean, I've just always referred to it as screen tone.
Yeah. Is it kind of just using screen tone? It's like that.
Yeah,
You can do it digitally, you could do anything, but kind of
yeah,
simulating that you only have a few at your disposal.
right. Yeah, because I in the preview on like the image that I upload that's uploaded to the Kickstarter page right now, like that is just like gray, like just like a gray tone. Like in the original print, I had used like the screen tone that was available
Yeah.
in because like that's kind of how you can cheat like the black and white print deal with, because like to kind of make sure that the screen like the gray tone that you're putting down, like like it's consistent with with what you want, like the screen tone. Like I don't know. I think
Yeah.
I'm not explaining
Well, and
myself
then
too
if you
well, but yeah.
resize it at all, it fucks it up. So that's like why,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Um, but yeah, it looks good. And then we have the 2 making ofs, which now when all is said is done and done, I'm proud of these. Like you put them together, it's a thick little tome documenting all our emails. I'm really glad we did that. I think I told you kind of behind the scenes, like I think we might have sold like 20 the first campaign, like really not that many, barely enough to like justify its existence, or even maybe you would say it wouldn't justify its existence. And I had half the mind to be like, let's not do one for part 2 because it didn't sell that much. And then I
Mhm.
was kind of like, nah, let's just do it. Like, I don't know. A little extra work so we can say we did it. And so I did. So now we have them. And I feel like in my mind, I'm like, this is for posterity, yo. Like, I think I told you that too. I was like, it don't matter if it don't sell, it's for posterity. But who is posterity? I don't know, just posterity.
Right.
But yeah, so everyone pick those up if you feel so inclined. I do think it would be like it's a decent read reading through. You got to get in the right mindset. It's like if you're again, it's like I picture like college student who wants to do their first graphic novel. You should like read these. But say even if you're kind of doing a phase where you're reading, because I'll still do this. Like I'll read how to writing books randomly here and there. So if you're kind of reading one of those, read you could read these too, like with it, and just kind of like combo off it. um, Complete archive of the collaborative emails, development art, creative process for Hotel Story 1 and 2. Then we got the add-ons, which this is like past work stuff. The Oval, we talked about that, but it was available also at the first campaign. This is kind of your other main big book right now that is done. There's one other, and what's that one? It's Key Girl, but did you change the title? Brutalist Brick is what it's called.
Right. Right. I mean, Brutalisburg isn't necessarily a book, but it's just kind of it's like like it's a series in a sense where it's like I've had like a couple like 8-page things that I've done after the because what like how it kind of came to be was like I had mentioned the comic event that I was tabling at before, like that, like Key Girl Bug was originally a comic that I did for one of those events, and that was actually a comic that was a comic I did like in about a week or a week and a half, like from conception to drawing to printing. So like, and that was a 20-page comic, so that was like kind of that was kind of a big what do you call it, benchmark.
Yeah.
So, but like it wasn't the best thing ever, but like you can always like you can always take a concept and turn it into something else, and that's kind of that's sort of what I wanted to do with that. So I took the girl character from Key Girl Bug and reworked her, kind of tried to figure out like what other setting would work for that character. So right now it's this kind of like so that's kind of what led to Brutalist Brick, which is kind of the form that 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 story is taking now.
Yeah.
And for,
And that
but
is
yeah,
kind of like an idea that it allows for multiple ideas.
right,
It's just
right,
these girls in a band, a girl and her brother in a band, right?
right. There's because there's the two girls like that are friends, and then there's like the main girl's name is Bukashka. There's Bukashka's brother, uh, who I kind of like accidentally gave a personality in like the second. Like, because there's like two, like, so there's Kigoro Bug, and then there's two Brutalist Brick comics.
Yeah.
Uh, so Brutalist Brick demo tapes, and then Brutalist Brick film buffs, which is like film buffs is the most recent one I did, and I accidentally gave him like a more defined personality in film buffs, which I make it sound like a bad thing, but it's a good thing. Uh, like
Because
where I had
he has like taste in movies and stuff. It's kind of
right,
funny.
he has taste in movies, and then he makes an offhand comment about the popcorn in the movie theater. It's like, don't you do you know how much seed oil's in that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
achievement hunting award for mentioning seed oil.
yeah,
Hold on, I gotta redo my camera. I think it should pop up. There we go.
but yeah, I
Real
think,
quick,
but yeah,
Ellie says, "Do you have Earthbound?" So not on this one, Ellie. But it will. It you can. Earthbound's on my eBay, and Volume One is free on like Global Comics. And then the Grand Prix 3 will be a crowdfund. And that's a good like time to catch up to, but that will be like probably early next year or at the earliest late this year, which would be awesome, but we'll see. Um but yeah. Yeah, so Brutus Brick, yeah, I think that eventually is another one that can be collected and a cool one for people to kind of keep an eye out for. And I think
yeah.
one of it, the film buffs one, it won an award or like it won
So
third. Yeah.
right, so I posted that so I made that comic. Uh, okay, so I someone had like someone like in my town, uh, like he was trying to get a comic anthology going. Uh, so he put out a call to artists, and like there was a deadline for April 1st for that. I think it was April 1st. Yeah, April 1st. Uh, so I tried to come up with a comic, like trying to think of a comic for that. I eventually decided I was gonna do something Brutalist related uh, for that. But at the same time, there's also a comic contest that was coming up on newgrounds.com, which that was like that had the same deadline. So it was like either I'm gonna come up with two comics for each of like one comic for each of those, or I'm just gonna see if I can kind of kill the two birds with one stone with one of those with one comic. So I did. That's eventually what I did because the comic anthology one wound up pushing the deadline back by about 15 days. But I submitted that comic to Newgrounds, and I like because the comic anthology one like that had to be black and white, but the Newgrounds one could be whatever. Like it could be color, it could be black and white, it could be like some hybrid 3D thing, whatever. Like whatever, worked, within some, like, within some limitations.
Hmm.
But but I did so I developed the film Brutalist Brick film buffs for that, and I wound up coloring it, and I did a kind of a like I did a more stylized color job that I like for that comic than I have done for in the past for like Cerberus or Hotel Story. And I wound up getting, so I think there was like I don't know exactly how many submissions there were for the Newgrounds comic contest thing. I think there was over 100, and I wound up getting third place in that.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. And you mentioned off the cuff, but I don't know if people know. So Jared colored Cerberus 1 and 2. So that's like our collaboration on a similar timeline. Like he was coloring Cerberus and finishing Hotel Story, which is interesting. I mean, yeah, that was a lot of work. Yeah, that was me overloading you kind of, but yeah, back to you being like jack of all trades. So like professional colorist, musician, composer, and now comic artist. But for one, completing this huge project, which is Hotel Story, but also some what we're kind of talking about now is some of these cool side projects. So yeah, the Obel and Brutalist Brick are kind of the two big ones. Mogal Blues is in the works right now. And that's kind of there's other things, but that's like your big kind of public body of work right now, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, so also this is the one of mine that is available here. It's the new printing of Nosferatu that I did a quick little uh crowdfund for last spring. Um awesome one. What's up? What's up, dude? Uh and yeah, so that's still people can grab it. It's available here as an add-on. And maybe that's about it. So you got me, you got Jared. Here's Jared's avatar too, the kind of fox guy. Um, and that's me on the set. That was Lou's movie from Iowa City. I think his photo is in Iowa when I. So this is like a 10-year-old photo. But yes. So yeah. 15 people watching. How's it going, everyone? Let's scroll to the top and see. Did we crack 40? We cracked 40. We're so close to 3,000 now. Um, that's fun. Thanks for 40 backers so far, everyone. Almost 3,000 so far. That's great too. We want as many backers as possible. We'll see. Like that, it's a part two, so it finishes the story. So a lot of people can jump in and get both. You get them at a slight discount if you get both, and you can read the whole thing. The whole story finishes. And then the previous campaign, we had 318 sales. So like, I know there's 318 people out there that read part one. Bought it. I'm not sure that these are funny statistics of how many people would have read it, but whatever. Say it's like half. It's a little lower than you might think. So say it's half. So 150 people have read it in the world. I'm pretty sure of those, a lot of them are gonna like it. So like, let's even. I don't know if this is cheating, but let's say 140. So there's 140 people in the world who've read it and liked it. So they're probably coming back. But then actually, the way the math works too is of those 140, like 100, like 40 don't know about the campaign. Whoa, it went to 41 and we cracked 3,000. Did you see that, Jared?
nice.
Hey, that's the dopamine. Did you get the hit? Are you like high right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks everyone. So, but yeah, so they won't know and they might find it like however email works and the internet like I can post every day. They still won't find out about it. And then if we're lucky, they will by the end of the 60-day campaign and they jump on. But yeah, you have it's like the entropy of the internet. You have some fall off, not because they don't like the book, but just because they don't know about it. And getting word out can be challenging. Um, so that's something you can always help with if you feel like helping the campaign in any way, helping me and Jared out, just help spread the word basically. There's two ways you can spread the word too. Obviously, just letting people know that you backed it or that they should back it. But if you have read it and enjoyed it, definitely mention that. It won't go to me and Jared's head, I say, although that might not be true, but that's like, yeah, just glaze us online so we can get tons of sales. That's what we need from everyone. Um Jake Hyperwizard just got 1 and 2 Oval and Nosferatu. Thanks. Oh, that Jake, that's a pretty epic back. And you were the guy who cracked 3,000. We were talking about on Creative Block that, yeah, like you get to take credit for that now. You're the guy who pushed us to 3,000. So everyone, Jake is the guy. So thank you very much. Um, yes. So 17 people watching. Yeah, it's cool. I can't believe we cracked 3,000. It's a lot of fun. I guess if we're talking like manifesting, it would be sweet to have 50 backers in the first day. So we'll see if we can get 9 more by like tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific. We'll see. But yeah. And there's still a few like emails I can send. I haven't updated all my old Indiegogos. Usually that gets the word out here and there. It is the math. The math is funny of like who sees it, you know. Like I have 1,000 emails on my like main mailing list. So I did send out to that one like this morning. I go live, I send out, let everyone know. And I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but usually you get like half of them will like open it, will like click on the email, and then like half of those will click on the link, and then half of those will buy it. And that's from like people who've opted in, who are fans, you know, who like whatever. But yeah, that's funny. It's just like, so we just got to get the numbers up, get the mailing list up. Everyone, you know, we say one of the taglines for this story is everyone has their story. Every backer has their story, and they're at a point in their life. Some will wait a week or two just to have the extra cash, you know, like, plus it is like, yeah, the economy's not even the greatest right now. So we definitely appreciate everyone. On our end, you know, just know like, I think 2 points that are fun is like, yeah, it's done for one. So yeah, we will fulfill it right away. And then for 2, it finishes the story, which is kind of fun. So yeah, like complete story, you're going to get it, you know, guaranteed, from a trusted, guy who is me, just cause I've done it before or whatever, got the system down and everything. Yes. So that's kind of where we're at. Should we watch the trailer one more time?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, Jake, have you seen it yet? I'm gonna play it, but I'll be back in a minute. Hey, watching at that time, I don't know if anything popped up. Although I was gonna say maybe, so real quick, we do have a project, and it's based on a mini comic that you did for one of your shows, and that was called Saturn Return, and that originally was WarioWare fan comic, right?
Right, right.
But then we repurposed it to make it. I think, is it Bukashka and the brother?
Uh, so no, it's gonna like I mean at this point I think it's gonna be separate characters from even that. So it like it'll be it'll be its own thing.
Okay. But yeah, so we did get kind of far into that without actually jumping into production. We worked with voice actors. We had a storyboarded. We had that kind of the script, which is just from the mini comic that Jared had written. But that one was really fun, and it just, I don't know. Mini comics are like a fun format that will, the limitations of the storytelling will kind of breed new creativity too. And it's kind of like, you know, this gets overused, but it's kind of like Lynchian, maybe you could say. Um, and so yeah, I'm excited about it. So we our slates are kind of you know, calming down a little bit, and especially, you know, in Hotel Story 2, we're just kind of promoting and hanging out, and then it fulfills and everything. So we were talking about trying to give that one another go. So what could be cool, a random thing you might see from us in the next year is like we might release an actual animated short. That would be sweet. So everyone can kind of keep an eye out and think about that. But our animation collaborations so far have just been the Hotel Story 1 and 2 trailers, and they're both cool. And we learned a lot each time. So I'm actually kind of glad we waited for the third time for the potential short we're gonna do. And I have like um some strong like vision of how we can make it and be pretty happy with it. Like even so in that animation, there's one in the middle with it's Katrina Adrian as Katrina like kind of spinning holding a staff. It's like that middle shot of, anyway. If I say that hopefully the chat might know, but Jared, but I animated that one and I'm pretty happy with how that one turned out of the whole trailer. Like I'm not super happy with the last shot I did of Hai kicking the door open. If I did that again, I could do it better. That's why I'm like, if we do, sometimes that's just doing stuff is a good way to learn because then you have all these notes in your head. You're like, okay, on the next one, I know I can do that better. I can if I have to do a door kick, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make it a little better. Blah blah blah. But the actual shot of her holding the staff like turned out pretty good. Um, yeah, are there any like
Yeah,
for
that was
you
my
for the trailer thoughts?
uh for or let me or sorry, let me finish my thought. Like I was gonna say like I agree like the full animation you did on Katrina for that crowd fighting scene was like that was my favorite shot of yours for that. So uh as far as like do you mean for like what my favorite shot was like do you mean like from just like the video editing side or just like the animation side?
Yeah, or let me ask you even this: like, are there any things that you're like learned doing it that you want to apply to the short or avoid or whatever? If we do another animated project, you know what I mean?
Um I mean, like I guess like the only new thing I really did was like figuring out how to do like color keying, like yeah, color keying, because like I did some, because I did some animation with Salome and her hair flowing, like the hair flowing segment. I did that in Clip Studio, so like I what I did with that, I did like I did a flat color that I was able to key out like the different colors I did on that, and I was able to like that's like really basic like post-production stuff, but I haven't really done a whole lot of that like outside of this, so like I'm a bit better equipped to do that for future projects if I need to. As far as like video editing, like there's a section from like in the trailer itself from like section 30 to from 30 seconds to 34 seconds like is kind of my favorite bit of video editing. The way that Bruno's aiming the gun. It cuts to the shot of the meeting room. It cuts back to Bruno, and then Bruno like gets ready to take the shot, and then it cuts immediately to the meeting room again. But like the way like the the way that the way that the camera moves on the meeting room, like the way that it implies motion and the way that it implies that Bruno took the shot, like I was really happy with the way it turned out. Uh, on top of how I had it synchronized with the music.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so it's like firing on all cylinders. I remember that, and that
Yeah,
did get iterated a lot within you were sending versions, tinkering with that section of the video a lot.
that was a
Because
different
initially it was
or
just a
no
blue screen.
no that's a different shot. I'm because that the shot you're thinking of is the one with Katrina like in the crowd shot. Like that actually happens before that. I'm talking about the one where Bruno is aiming at the tentacle creature.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Cool, cool. Yeah. There's a subliminal demon in it too. Do people catch that? I don't know if that's giving stuff away, but that's kind of fun. Um, yeah. Yeah, so it'll be fun to maybe work on another animated project. I'm always curious of like, we can do it, we can bust it out, and then we just see if any doors open or whatever. So that's one of the things that's like kind of on our docket. Um, Phil versus Angel Fighter 2 Deluxe Hotel Championship Edition. Yeah, that now you're talking about like a video game, but we've talked about that, but that's just too much. That's like maybe down the line. I think one way to structure it is like one thing has to kind of blow up before you can move on to another thing. You know what I mean? Like if we did an animated short and it actually like blew up, then we could maybe look at doing a video game or something. Um, but I don't know if I want to mess with that too much unless the have something going or whatever. Oh, yeah. Someone said hi to Rini, but I don't see her in the chat. So and then someone said there's a what do you call it? It's a glitch or something. But yeah, it says 16 people watching. We hit 2 hours, so we do have to get out of here pretty soon. And then maybe probably not late stream tonight, but maybe one little late stream. Definitely a little check in tomorrow. And some other stuff. But yeah, like these things real fast. This is kind of the pitch. This is the out of the box pitch. And the idea is that these 8 things combo. So like anything would be like kind of a cool thing, but when you put them all together, that is a very fun, specific concoction of what is Hotel Story. So it's real time progression, takes place in only one night. This is kind of rare in comics. An ensemble story, multiple characters handled with an even hand. Uh, no one more important than the other, all interesting. That's kind of rare too. That's cool. And those two things together, you're like, oh, okay. You're already starting to see like a little vision. A milieu story. Milieu is the French word for environment, and like some, it also means like middle, but environment is one translation. That's usually the way they mean it. And yeah, milieu stories are stories that where the environment is a character or a huge part of the story. Obviously, the hotel has a lot to play with that. It's one location, one night. The hotel plays a big role in it. The ensemble, the cartooning from Jared is great. It pulls you in as you read too. This is I remember it's kind of reminds me of like early my first Earthbound book is like the there would be some kind of compliments I would get would be like people just saying like it grows on you as you read, which is also kind of me. I think when they say that, it means it's pulling you in. And the way I think of that too is like you're kind of creating a world. So if you can create a world with your art style, then people are free to like think in that world, think in that art style within the story. This book does that. So like be prepared to just get pulled in and enjoy yourself. And that's all Jared, which is awesome. And then it's the gag story, which is kind of heavily storyboarded, heavily iterated. This kind of goes with improv, lots of improv. Me and Jared in meetings, knocking stuff back and forth, seeing what works. Lots of redrawing, much to the chagrin at times of Jared, which he powered through, which is even more a testament to his professional and the accomplishment of finishing the book. And just it's fun that yeah, like the amount of work we put in, we really we're proud of it. We think we made a good book. Uh, the structure, just a long story that holds your interest, spinning a yarn, kind of cinematic in a way. Um, this is a little rarer than you'd think. If you can name like a 240-page graphic novel that's kind of structured like a good movie in a way, even though that sort of has a stigma. But a lot of what you'd think of graphic novel, it's like an arc from a comic run, and it has individual issues that have been combined, and it might be like episodic, but some of them, you know what I mean? It's like this is a little different. This is like one story, 240 pages, one night, one location, pretty fun. Um, and then that within like the chaos within chaos, people are talking about the organized chaos, and that kind of makes the subgenre. But the subgenre, I say most simply, I call it a horror adventure. Which is, I don't know if that's like a thing, but it should be if it isn't. I was like, what is a horror adventure? And I was like, Evil Dead 3 is a horror adventure. And this is not that much like Evil Dead 3, but it's like horror adventures, they're kind of rare. They're like not necessarily scary. They're kind of fun. A lot of times the word I think of them is if they're fun. Uh, and yeah, this book is definitely fun. Uh, and yeah, it has cool like escalation to kind of meaningful climax. Everything does it all. And yeah, we're proud of it. So check it out. Um, so far we got 41 backers. We cracked 3,000. I'm so happy with that. Thanks everyone for being there. Alex says play the Obel Trail. I don't have it. We can play that later. But that we did that together too, and that turned out pretty great. Um, yes. Epic Gnosis. It looks like we might get one backer soon if Epic is doing it now. Look at the Obel add-on. What is it considering it? Already want to grab. Epic, you should grab Obel. Unfortunately, we talked about it earlier, but we can. I mean, that's Jared's kind of main solo project. 48-page horror, kind of haunting horror, Americana. I don't know, ghost. In some ways, it's like a ghost story. It's like a Twilight Zone episode. That could be considered Lynchian too. Again, overused, but um, yeah, that. But I highly recommend it. I love it, and a lot of people do love it who buy it. But that's a great Jared solo work. A cool thing to kind of put on your bookshelf because it's like 48 pages, perfect bound, has an awesome cover. You read it pretty fast. You read it in like half hour or whatever. But definitely a memorable experience reading this kind of cool short horror story. Um, yeah, epic. Yes. Uh, what should we do anything for like a sign off, Jared? I don't know. Any kind of final thoughts or anything?
Um,
I just dropped a big question on you. I was like, you take
right.
over for the end. What do we do? You know what we could do is we need to just come back. That's one thing I think because this actually went faster than I thought, and I still kind of want to talk to you and talk about because we actually didn't cover everything I thought we'd cover really. Um, so we'll schedule another stream while it's live for you and me to keep chatting. I think, um, and
Sure. Sure.
yeah. Comic says, "Congratulations! Have you seen the movie Four Rooms Darker Robberies? It takes place in a hotel. I actually haven't seen it. I've only heard about it, and I wouldn't mind checking it out. I like old Robert Rodriguez. When is delivery date? We set it for December, but it's completely done, and so yeah, we'll get it. I feel like I set it late deliberately so we won't be late, but November is just backed everything. Epignosis, thanks. Yeah, it's fun. You got the Obel. You're gonna enjoy it. It looks like Comics Legend hasn't backed yet. Thinking about it, definitely check it out, brother. You'll dig it. Um, yeah. Okay. So is it? I wonder if that updated. If we scroll up, hold on. Yeah, it did. Ooh, yeah. So now we're ticking towards 4K. Um, yeah. So we'll see. It just like it slowly ticks up. I have no idea how it works. It's the kind of thing you could stress out, and I have in the past. And the path I choose to, if I can, is to almost try and be a little zen about it because 60 days is a long time, and we'll see where it's at 60 days. But hopefully we beat the first one by at least a little bit. That would be amazing. That would kind of put it in the realm where we're considering a sequel if it just beats the first one. The first one was 18,000. So if everyone just kind of knows that number, you can keep it in mind or whatever. Uh, Read the preview on Global Comics if you want. If you've read part one, there's a part one preview on. This is stuff we can kind of go over if we talk next week or something too, but on Newgrounds. So read the part one preview, and I'm sure, like we both are pretty confident and proud of the preview for part one. The story begins in a really fun way, so should help sell people on it. Let me see what people are saying. Awesome. Are we back? We are so back. Congratulations, Chris McWilliams. Thank you, sir. Did you get your print? Think he's going to find a Japanese wife next to visit Japan? He's always scheming so he can travel more. Uh, Escaping the British hellhole. Oh, is that what it is, Jake? It's actually a green card. Awesome one. Nazi UK. Yeah, the UK is being shitty right now. But the one thing that we did on this stream is we got to the bottom of Sydney Sweeney, which is awesome. Literally and figuratively. Is that true? No. But we will continue to dig into Sydney Sweeney at the next stream. There's plenty to look into regarding her genes and stuff. Can a British person move to another country in the Commonwealth? Yeah, because they left the Brexit or whatever. I wonder that. Can reprint arrive? Were you gonna say anything, Jared?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm kind of just saying hi to the or saying bye to the chat, I guess. But yeah. All right, everyone. This was a great first day, and there'll be a first night and a first morning, and we'll see. It'd be sweet to crack 4K. That'd be amazing. Crack 50 backers, something like that. Tomorrow, keep the word strong if you don't mind. Help a little bit with the nards, getting the word out. Glaze part 1, if you've read it, don't mind me or Jared. Just glaze the shit out of it because we're trying to get people to get on board, and that's what they respond to. People respond to glazing, if you know what I'm saying. So don't mind us. We will not get a big head. Our heads are already too big anyway, so can't get any bigger. So just glaze the shit out of part 1 and help us sell some more books. Thank you very much. Awesome. Well done, pair and author. Author is Jared. Actually, I guess I'm the author. Jared's the artist. Jared is the co-writer too, but I'm a little more lead writer, I guess, than Jared. But Jared's DNA is all over this thing, and Jared's got great genes. Is that fair to say?
I think that's a creative way to say it.
Yeah, yeah. Jake's gonna like that. Yes. So I'm gonna click end stream. Anything, Jared? Everyone follow Jared for one. Housetosis, HOUZ, atosis on Twitter. And he's on my wall a lot. Or wall's the old Facebook word, but I retweet him. So you'll see him there. But follow him if you see him. He's a good follow. His solo work is great, and he's a jack of all trades. Good collaborator. Yeah, he might be. I encourage him to expand into working a little bit, gig work with other people. So even think about that if Jared's available, or you can always reach out and ask if you have him in mind for anything. But yes, yeah. So Jared, any closing statements?
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, I kind of stole it from you because I told people to follow you on Twitter. That's like what people say a lot of times, and I totally stole that from you. As for me,
Yeah,
people do not follow me.
I was gonna say if you have a Newgrounds, you can also follow me on Newgrounds.
Yeah, Jared has a good Newgrounds account. Follow him there. And yeah, we'll kind of talk, Jared. We'll figure something out, but we'll stream again. I'll be doing some other streams, so we'll try and have you on with those. Yeah, I'll get your schedule or whatever. And yeah, it's a 60-day campaign, so kind of a long campaign, a marathon. We'll see what we can do. And just this completes the story. Like that's my pitch. I was laughing. Alex Vera, you pointed out like my pitch for this story is that it's finished. Like, have you ever read a finished story in indie comics? Well, read Hotel Story for us. You get to find out what happens. You ever wonder what's going to happen? Have you ever wondered? Well, Hotel Story will tell you what happens. And that is the pitch. So, yes. And I forget what else I was going to say about that, but Alex Yerby, it's a complete story. All right. I'm going to click the button to end the stream. Clicking it here. Jared, hang up for just a second. We'll chat behind the scenes for just a second here, but I clicked it.